Our top story tonight is the deepening banking crisis in Britain, where the ousted head of Barclays is expected to come out fighting when he appears before a powerful House of Commons committee. Bob Diamond will claim the Bank of England and other government officials knew Barclays was manipulating a key interbank lending rate known as LIBOR. For the latest on this unfolding story, I'm joined now from London by Europe correspondent Philip Williams. And Phil, what's the feeling there tonight? Can Bob Diamond make this allegation of Bank of England complicity stick?
Well, it all goes down to a memo that he put out in 2008 after a conversation with the Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, Paul Tucker, in which he basically relayed the tenor of that conversation as being a licence for Barclays to continue with their manipulation of the LIBOR rate. And given that the green light, and in fact he implicates others higher up the chain in Whitehall, unnamed others, as having virtually sanctioned this practice. So can he prove that? Talking about that was on the phone, we believe. No doubt that'll be denied on the other side, because the Bank of England, of course, would say they would never sanction something illegal or something that was perhaps not illegal but bad practice like that. So it may come down to one person's word against the other, which will then be very difficult for Bob Diamond to prove. But it certainly does add intrigue to this whole thing, connecting the Bank of England, possibly the government, to this nod and wink practice that he alleges was going on.
Well, this LIBOR fixing scandal seems to have laid bare a really gung-ho culture in British banking, where traders, it seems, were just out of control.
Absolutely. You had copies of emails being surfacing talking about, you know, I owe you, mate, and I owe you a bottle of Bollinger next time, from the traders to the LIBOR setters. So, yes, there certainly has been that culture. I don't think anyone would deny that. Some would say it still hasn't really gone away, and that culture was set in part by Bob Diamond when he first arrived at Barclays, basically adopting a far more aggressive market stance and the more sort of high-risk, high-reward policies that now appear to have the bank in this trouble. But yes, that culture certainly has been blamed for this sort of gung-ho attitude, but who's to pay the price for that? Well, at the moment it's Bob Diamond. A price, it might be said, will probably be cushioned by perhaps tens of millions in payout over the next whenever he leaves, whenever he actually gets his final departure cheque.
Well, the government has announced a parliamentary inquiry into the whole banking system, but there are many people in Britain calling for a full judicial inquiry headed by a judge, similar to the recent Leveson inquiry into the media.
Yes, and that's coming from loud and clearly from the opposition. Ed Miliband has said we need a judge-led inquiry really to get to the bottom of it, and a parliamentary inquiry simply isn't good enough, that there are too many vested interests, that it won't have a big enough remit to get to the bottom of it. The other side of that is, you look at Leveson, it's been going a long time, it costs a great deal of money, and they want, the government says they want quick answers to this, to put an end to it, to sort who did what, who knew what, when, and get quicker action than you can get through a Leveson-style inquiry. But
well,
at the moment, the government has the numbers.
We're out of time. Sorry to cut you off there, but thank you very much for that. Sounds like interesting times still to come.
Thanks.